everybody, welcome to our AMP session today. If this is the first time that you're watching live or watching the replay, our AMP session is where we do training and interviews of agents throughout our network that we can learn from. Sometimes we're training on a specific skill. Sometimes we're just interviewing agents to get a feel for them. And today is one of those great conversations coming ahead. So, Sam, welcome to AMP.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Sam begrudgingly agreed to be a part of our AMP session. No, she was delighted, I'm sure. And yeah, that's right. We were just talking before about the beauty of being in our network is that so many of us have been in other areas where agents are just so important. Or, they've got that air of self-importance, and it's great to just be able to have a bit of a chat together, have a coffee, and just treat this as just a learning opportunity, sharing ideas and whatnot. So, Sam, just tell us a little bit about how long you've been in real estate. Take us back. How did you get involved in real estate? And was it always your passion, or are you here by accident?
No, it has always been my passion. My very first job out of school, I worked at AMP in the property and development area, and just in admin. But I had always been obsessed with real estate. I was one of those people that always grabbed the Real Estate Weekly every single week when it came out, and I was sitting out the front of the real estate office, and I'd stop my car and I'd jump out and I'd grab it and I'd come home and just devour it. So it's always been a bit of an obsession for me. So I worked at AMP. I was there for a few years, and then I worked at a First National office, again doing admin and a bit of support for the rental side of things. Then I started having babies, and so sort of went to a bit of part-time work and was doing bookkeeping and office admin, any job I could get my hand on, just that I could work part-time hours, work nights and what have you. And then moving forward, again, jumped back into real estate about 15, 16 years ago. So I had two kids in high school at that point and two kids in primary school. And I guess I was a bit dissatisfied with, with my work that I was doing. It was a bit boring. Like admin's just a bit boring. But I thought I just want to get back into, something that I can, get my hands into. So there was an opportunity at a local real estate office, again for an admin role. And I thought I'll just go and apply for it and get in the door and see what happens. So I did a bit of admin there for, I think it was in total about 4 months. And then I jumped straight into a sales role. I'm like, I'm not doing admin anymore. I can do this sales job on my ear. I've got it down pat. I can do it. Little did I know, still learning. 15 years later, you're still learning stuff. But it was great. No, look, I've never looked back. I've really enjoyed it. Like any job, ups and downs and all over the place, sideways. But yeah, that's how I got into it, really. Yeah, always
So
loved it.
you've been actively selling for the last 15 or 16 years, is that right?
Yep. Yeah.
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 And when you were doing admin and you were watching the other salespeople, however many that was, were you like, this is so easy, I could just do this?
I don't know whether I thought it was easy. I could see what they were doing, and my skill set could easily get into that role. But I also felt like I'm a really organized person, and they were not organized people. And in that admin role, I tried to help them being organized, and it just fell on deaf ears. So when I jumped into the role, I think having a really good structure and really good organizational skills just helped me and set me off really, really well to start off with. And also being able to talk to people. Like the very first weekend, I went out of admin on the Wednesday. I did my first open on a Sunday. One of the other colleagues opens that property that they couldn't sell. So I thought I'll just get the new girl to jump
Yeah.
on there, and I sold it that day. Brought some buyers back to the office, signed them up. I was shitting myself. I got
Yeah.
excited. I was shaking like a leaf. Oh, I know how to do this, but do I really know how to do this? And signed them up, and yeah, and I was off and running. Loved it. It was just like, wow, I can do this. I can talk to people. I can ask the questions.
Yeah, that's so good. And how did you go in those first year or two? Was it like a duck to water, or was there a big learning curve?
Um, a bit of both. Like I felt very natural with it. So it wasn't too hard. Like I guess the biggest learning curve for me was that it's intense. And I was on call all the time. And I remember when I got my very first listing, which was only less than a month in, it went online and my phone started going off and it just didn't stop. And I thought, my goodness, what am I gonna do? Like this is just nuts. And so that was probably the biggest shock to me is just the intensity. Obviously, different markets, it's different.
Yeah.
Um, but we're in a real first home buyer market, and those lower end properties just go like that. And yeah, just the constant calls was just
I remember my first weekend working in a boom 20 years ago in Perth, and same thing. Property went on online, and I had 142 calls in the first 24 hours, and it was the old days where I had to dial Telstra 101 to get the message,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and then by the time I'd got and listened to the message and wrote it down, there was another three messages, and it was just like so insane. Yeah,
Yeah, it was. And that's where being structured and organized really came into play. And, the structure and organization back then was pen and paper.
that's right.
I wrote everything down and cross-checked everything, and I didn't want to miss anything. I was so worried about missing a lead or missing calling someone back or forgetting something. So I wrote note after note after note after note after note after note. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And how did you go with you? You mentioned that you had four children that you were trying to corral and push and nudge and whatnot in the right direction. How
Mm,
did you go balancing real estate with that?
really hard.
Yeah,
It was really hard. Um, Great kids, like everyone really pitched in at home. Um, I don't think I could have done it had they not been willing to do that. Like, they'd get home from school and start peeling potatoes. It's funny, I looked at an old photo before with my son. He had some his motorbike riding goggles on while he was chopping up onions. So it was the only way that he could do it, that his eyes weren't pouring. But the kids were fantastic. And like we all had they had their moments, obviously. School holidays were really hard, super, super hard, having to be at the office. And back then, I had to sit in the office on a Sunday, I had to sit in the office on a Saturday. I'd have
yes.
a day off during the middle of the week. It was awful. And, I was expected to be
People new
there.
to the industry going, why would you be sitting in the office those days, Sam?
Oh, it was so
Duty
hard.
time, duty time.
Yeah, yeah. And quite often on a Sunday, you'd get no one in there, but the boss said, nope, it's got to be open. You're going to sit here. You're on this Sunday. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And look, I didn't know better and I was hungry for the work and, I just did it. So, yeah, it was busy time, busy
De
time.
definitely. I want to ask you about how you're going now and some of the technology that you've adopted. But before I get to that, I just wanted to say, is there a particular property that sticks out in your memory as a fun one that you sold in those early days, or a challenging one, or that kind of a thing?
There's lots of challenging ones, but my absolute favorite sale. And it was after all of the sale had been done, and I was going to put the sold sticker on with the first home buyers. And we went, it was a property in Seville East, so outer East Melbourne. And went there with this gorgeous couple, and I started them off. I half put the sticker on, and then I jumped back and I was taking photos so they wouldn't get it stuck in their hair and all over the
Yeah.
place. So they're rolling it out and put the sticker up. And then the guy got down on one knee and proposed of the sold sticker. That was so beautiful. That was my favorite one ever. So I had
that
a little tear. It's like, oh,
That's so cool, and it really just brings it to the fact that we're helping people. We're
yeah.
helping people in key parts of their lives. You know, we can be very transactional,
Mm,
but it is very much about relationships and that kind of thing.
absolutely.
Yeah. So you tell us a little bit about what you were doing just prior to you coming to EXP.
I was in a an office in out East Melbourne, and um, I guess I'm probably at a point where wanted to start to wind down a little bit, and that wasn't cool with the boss.
Yeah, yeah,
um, so, and the office environment wasn't what it once was. Going to the office every day was really taking its toll on me mentally, emotionally. Um, yeah, it wasn't fun anymore. I was there and I was doing my job and I was still doing really well, but I I could almost say I hated being in the office, hated it. And then the opportunity here arose. The timing was right, and honestly, I wish I'd done it so many years ago. You know, I don't want to be a superstar anymore. I've
yeah,
been, I've had that mentality before that I wanted to be the best in the office, and I did that for many, many years. That mentality has gone from my world. Comes with age and wrinkles and grey hairs and things, I think.
yeah,
So I still want to work and I still want to do what I love, but I don't want to be forced to do the hours and the days and the listing numbers that I was doing. And this model has been able to give me that. So um, I can still do what I love, but on my terms.
yeah. How good is that?
So
The
good. It's so good. So
I-
good.
every time I talked to an agent last week that's considering coming to us, and then he didn't believe me. So then he called some of our other you've got a stalker. Be careful.
Yeah.
There's a real
It
stalker there
just
behind
stalks
you.
through the back.
But yeah, the agent didn't believe that it was as freeing
Yeah.
being in this model. So he rang some of the other agents in Western Australia, and then he rang me back. He's like, "You either have them really well trained, or they lied." And then I said, "Or there's another option." And he goes, "What's that?" "It's true." So it is good. So tell us a little bit about how you've changed your business, because I know you've coming from bricks and mortar, that's a pretty defined box that you play in, and now you are obviously working with Tony, and you guys are working. What changes have you made the way you do business and that kind of stuff? What tools are different for you?
Um, the tools that are different for me, I suppose, are just like I use a Trello board now, which I don't even know what that was before.
Thanks to Peter.
Yeah, thanks to you, Peter. So that was really good. So instead of just writing everything down, although I still do a bit of that because that's just what I
Yeah,
do. And instead of having, the big notes on my whiteboard and, lists here and everywhere, I utilize that. But essentially it's the same. Like it's got, we've got our tools and our ability to, still got our CRM and everything that we're using online. My office is in, or we've both got an office. We did try to work in the same office, but Tony's really loud, so I
yeah,
kind of moved to a different office, or outside where I currently am at the
yeah.
moment. Um, so yeah, digital proposals. Tony's just reminded me. So I never really used Core Logic and doing digital proposals and things like that. Like we printed out everything in the office
Yes.
and, took it to the appraisal and sat down and flipped through. Although half the time I didn't even do that. You'd
Yeah.
take it there and leave it there. And I don't know, our appraisal approach is more we just sit there and we talk and we talk and
Yeah.
talk and talk rather than flipping through books, and which I think is just, I don't know.
You've got your thing and you're going, and here's another picture of me being awesome. And
Yeah,
here's another picture of me being awesome. And here's
yeah,
all of us at the office being awesome.
awesome. Yeah, I know. It's not the way I like to do
Yeah.
things. And I've certainly come across other agents or been up against other agents who leave all their packs behind after an appraisal, and you see all the pretty things and um, the bit of chalky that they leave for them, or the bribes. So
Yeah.
me and
Yeah.
you'll get some more chocolate.
Yeah.
Um, but never done anything really like that. I think it's more about talking and making a connection than
Yeah.
anything else. So,
Which is cool. And I wanted, and so that's what I was going to ask you. So people either live or watching the replay might have only been in the industry for 1, 2, 3 years. What are some of the things that you have learned about the industry, about yourself, etc., that if you had to start again, you'd like to tell yourself?
um, if I wanted to actually just coach myself, and change something for me personally, is that for my emotional well-being, I have always taken on my vendors' problems as my problem. If they're in a divorce, or they're in financial struggles or whatever, and they've got to sell their house for that, I'd lie awake at night worrying about all of their problems, and how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to make it pain free for them. And that took a real toll on me, and it took me years to put that aside and just do my job and not get into the emotional side of it. um in one way I think it was good in getting my name out there. And what people liked about me is that I did have that emotional connection with it, but it really took its toll. So I had to learn to balance that. Um,
Yeah.
so that's probably the biggest thing. If I was starting again, I'd want some coaching on that and letting that go. And sometimes letting go of the outcome. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
let go of the outcome. I'd lying awake all night worrying about a deal or I don't know, anything and everything
Ha-
I was worrying about.
And if you've changed from that, how have you actually changed so that you don't do that as much?
Um, it's still
Or is
there,
it just
but
an experience thing?
it is just an experience thing. I think again, it's letting go of the outcome. I have to keep telling myself that let go of that, let go of it, let go of it over and over again, because um, it can just creep back in and overtake everything. But just do my job, do what I know is best for um, this particular sale. Every sale, as we know, is different.
Yeah.
Every vendor is different, every buyer is different. But just do my job, do it well, and it will all fall into place.
I think that's such amazing advice because I talk to a lot of agents that are just carrying their vendors with them.
Yeah,
And what happens is because of that psychological impact on them, they can't they can't handle 10 vendors or 15 vendors the way that they're doing real estate.
yeah,
They're just awake all night, all day, their own family's deteriorating because they're worried about, Mrs. Smith and her issues over wherever. And yeah, and it's a really powerful thing. I always jokingly ask people when they tell me they worry so much about their clients, I said, "Oh, does it help?"
mhm, yep, does it?
No, it doesn't help.
Yeah. And sometimes I just needed people to say that exactly to me. Is it helping you?
Yeah. Is it
No,
helping you? Is it helping
helping
them?
them.
No.
No.
I always talk about it as, you go to the airport and you've flown there, there's 300 people in the plane and you go to the luggage carousel and you're trying to carry everyone's bags out to their car. Like, no, just
Mm.
get your bags and just go let
Yeah,
them get their bags. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah.
that's cool. A couple more tips that you might have for yourself at an early age or agents that are newer coming on with the way that technology is going. How does an agent balance between embracing technology and having that human touch?
I I think that you just can't let everything go to technology. Like I see a lot of people, a lot of agents doing like so much social media, so so much like everyone's using Chat GPT, and look, it's great and it has its um, absolute value, but I feel like you can see when people have just used that for their scripts and their write-ups, like
Yep.
doing an ad copy. Yes, it's great. I like to write my ad copies, and then sometimes I'll put it into Chat GPT and just enhance it a little bit, but I think that you've got to still have you in that, because at the end of the day the clients have engaged you, they haven't engaged your company. They like you for you. So keep putting you into it. Don't let technology take over everything. And, it can be a cop out too. It can just be the easy way out, just to press the buttons and let technology take over everything. I don't know that that's the way to go. Like for me, it's not really. I still like to have the conversations, and I don't know, like people still see me. It's not just a computer. It's not just something that's not real. I don't know.
I heard
I
some
think you've got to have
agents
a bit of
talking.
both.
I heard some agents talking last week, and they were talking about using AI and all this kind of stuff. And they said the more agents embrace AI and the industry embraces AI, the more that our job is more critical because humans rely on humans to tell them what is true, what is right, what is to guide them, you
Yeah.
know? Like, and I'm always talking about with my team about, if you were to climb Mount Everest and you had to pick your Sherpa and there's somebody with brand new hiking gear and they're all standing there, or there's some old crusty Sherpa in the back with soup hanging off their face, and whatever else, who's been up the mountain that many times.
Yeah.
Who do you want? Like, give me the crusty guy that's been up and down, that
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I think
knows
you've
that.
just got to be
Um,
critical.
what is the what's the market doing where you are, and how are you helping your clients to adjust to it?
The market's not awesome at the moment. We're getting less and less buyer numbers at our opens, and um, it's it's having the hard conversations with the vendors, and they don't like it. They don't want to hear that the market isn't amazing. And there's all sorts of reasons that they think that people aren't coming to their opens, and why aren't they buying my house? It must be your fault.
Yes.
It's you've just got to have the hard conversations with them, and whether they like it or not, this is real. I don't like it. I don't like the way the market is. I don't like the fact that I've got these beautiful homes that are well-priced homes that all of a sudden the the prices that were very realistic are not so realistic, and it's happening very, very quickly, that it's changing. And so I've just got to talk with them, encourage them, hang in for the long haul, and just stick with it. And it's just talking through it constantly. It's yeah, but the market's it's not amazing, and so
Yeah.
it's all over the place. It's just out in the Yarra Valley where we are. You've got to have a property that looks super cheap, super amazing for people to get there at the moment. And even then, you are getting some offers, but they're all subject to the sale of another house that isn't easy to sell. So, it's just
Yeah.
very tight, very hard at the moment.
Yeah, and as an agent, an experienced agent, you've been through markets like that before.
Mm. Yeah.
How do you build the resilience to work in that environment?
Yeah, I think resilience for me is that because I've done it, I've been in every market, and I would hate to have just started in real estate now, because you'd be like, I'm not going to make a cent. I'm not going to make a Jats cracker.
Yeah,
But I think I know it'll change. So that gives you your resilience. You know it's going to change. So I've just got to hang in there um, and ride the roller coaster. I remember a market like this years ago. I was telling my vendors at my vendor meetings, well, you could rent the property out. If it's not selling, we can put it to the rental market. And they go, oh no, I don't want to do that. Also, well, maybe we need to meet the market and reduce the price if you actually do want to move on. So it was always a good one, a bit of a shock value of, oh, well,
yeah.
if you don't,
What's your plan B?
yeah, yeah. They go, oh, no, I don't want to rent it out. No.
Yeah,
So that always worked really well. And we're sort of getting to that stage as well, be having conversations with people, rental demand is huge, why don't you go and rent in the place in the area that you want to rent in, and rent out your property, or, reduce your price and then pack up and move on to the next one. So I know
yeah.
there's lots of conversations. People
It's
don't like
it's
it,
it's
but
hard though. As a newer agent, it's hard to A, have the courage to have those conversations,
yeah.
B, know what to say,
Mm,
and then we swing back to when they say, Sam, it's your fault that it's not selling, then
mm.
the guilt comes back on, well, maybe it is me because, whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
hard as
yeah.
a new agent to balance all of that.
Absolutely. I worry about younger people coming into the industry that have spent, their adult lives in front of a computer or using technology, and they don't know how to have conversations. That that worries me for the future of our industry, and or any other industry really. Those people that can't have conversations, because what's going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. Well, those of us that are dinosaurs, we can just power on through this for a
Yeah.
little bit longer. But yeah, if an agent is moving into that, because you watching the recording can't see, but I've got the beautiful face of Peter Forbes on the screen, who we have had many chats about working in challenging markets because that's kind of been our forte. Um, how can an agent learn those skills to survive that? Like if an agent's in a market where it is shifting, even in WA, which has been booming for the last 36 months, it's slowing in pockets. What's the first thing that you monitor with a listing to know whether or not it's in trouble?
It's obviously the hits on the internet. If we're getting massive hits and no one's coming, there's a reason that they're not coming. And 9 times out of 10, it's price.
Yeah.
If you're getting no hits, no one's even looking at it, then you've got to go, why is no one even looking at this listing? Are my photos shit? What's the go? There's lots of different things, but chopping and changing your listings around. But look, 9 times out of 10 comes down to price.
Yeah, I was about 10 years into my real estate career when I worked out through training. Someone said, "You know that the price is the key aspect of your marketing campaign."
Mm,
And I'd never associated, like someone said, "Would you allow bad photos on your listing?" No. Would you, have a terrible write-up? No. Would you have a terrible price? Sure. 6 months of that'll be fine. No problem at all. You know. And then through experience, you go, oh, hold on. That is a key component.
yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
yeah, so So what was the question again?
I just how's a young agent going to learn all this, or they just gotta
Mm.
cop it until they learn?
I think the best way for a young agent, they've got to go and have lots of training. They've got to team up with someone who is experienced in the office, and listen to the conversations. I don't think as a young person these days they can just jump in this and think that they can do it. I don't, it's rare that you would get, someone in their early 20s that has the skill sets to be able to just jump in. You've got to just team up with someone, and learn the ropes. You've just got to follow them around, listen to the conversations, and learn to be able to have the face-to-face hard conversations.
Yeah, I think my advice would get a mentor.
Yeah,
Get a mentor in
absolutely.
the industry that has survived some of those hard knocks,
Yeah,
can teach you some persuasive language,
yeah,
and little stories that you can bring out because stories tell, like people remember the story you told them. They won't remember your name,
yeah.
you know.
Stories are a great thing. Role playing, I hate role playing, hate it, but it's good for some people. I think it's really good for a lot of people, but personally, I hate it.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's a good way for younger people as well. Just
yeah.
get on the phone with someone who you feel comfortable with, and have those conversations, and until it becomes second nature to you, those conversations.
That's how I developed talking with my mates. When they say this, what do you say? Well,
Mm,
I say this. Oh, that sounds dumb. I don't want to say that, or that
yeah,
sounds, or
yeah,
that sounds awful. And yeah, um,
yeah. I think it's so important for people to have their own scripts and not take other people's scripts as their own, because you sound like you don't know what you're talking about. You sound like you're playing a game. You've got to have your own dialogue that works for you, that everyone can relate to you through. So,
yeah. For those that are not long in the industry rolled through in the last 20, 25 years where it was huge on scripts and everyone said the same thing. There was
mm,
books and you could print them off and you could have the same script. And then
yeah,
the industry kind of shifted. And eventually it just became know the concept, be able to express the concept in your own words,
yeah,
because at the end of the day, we're just trying to help the people make the next move at,
yeah.
at the end of the day. Sam, thanks so much for taking time out to have a coffee with us. Anything that we should have asked you that you'd love to share? Any
No,
tips on working with your partner in real estate?
do you know what? It's actually been really good. Tony and I have worked together for many years, in the office. We shared a pane of glass between
Yeah.
us. That was challenging because, again, he's really loud. And I used to be on the phone and I'd have my finger in my ear like this, or cupping the phone. So, people couldn't hear him talking or yelling out to Claire or whoever else was in the office. And
Yeah.
but yeah, but no, it's been really great. Like, we've obviously tried and tested our friendship and our in our work. We work very well together. So,
Uh, that's so good. That's
yeah.
so good. You got the winning formula because most couples work together and then they're like, okay, so you take that suburb way over there now, and I'm gonna go way over there now. So,
Yeah.
thanks for taking the time to be with us today. You've shared some great insights, and I know those here enjoyed it, and those watching the replay will have enjoyed it too. Thanks for being authentic with us.
No worries. Thanks heaps, Rob. See you, everyone.